Hey Jabil, how many SR4U laces can you fit in the Puma Futures? The answer to that question is 6 pairs, and that's if you fill in every single hole. Which, by the way, 6 pairs of laces would qualify you for free worldwide shipping on any order of $16.99 or more. Available at SR4ULaces.com. What's going on, guys? Jeff from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you another Q&A video, a series on my channel where I seamlessly plug SR4U laces when you least expect it and answer a bunch of your questions. Which, by the way, if you have a football boot related question that you'd like answered in the next Q&A video, I pull all the questions from my Instagram, SR4U_Josh. You'll see it on screen right now. It'll also be linked down below in the description. So if you'd like to participate in the next episode, make sure you're following me there. Also, if you guys enjoy the Q&A series on the channel and want to see it continue, don't forget to support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on future content from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. Should the Nemesis 19 count as a speed boot, or does it count as an agility boot? I understand the idea of coming out with agility boots. From a marketing perspective, these brands are always trying to come out with something that we've never seen before that's going to get people excited, even though it's kind of meaningless at the end of the day. But I kind of feel like agility and speed more or less go hand in hand. Yes, if you're fast, you might not necessarily be super agile, but if you're agile, I would assume that you're going to be fast as well, because if you're agile but not fast, then you're just moving in different directions slowly. I don't necessarily think that counts as agility. So for Adidas, with the Nemesis line and the X line being speed, the Nemesis line being agility, I almost feel like they're kind of producing two different variations of the speed boot. And they've been doing this. Before we had the Nemesis line, we had the Messi line, which was kind of just a variant of the X line anyway. So it just depends on how you want to look at it, I guess. But for me, right now, I kind of feel like Adidas is producing two speed boots, not an agility boot and a speed boot. Hey Jagger, what new tech would you put on your own branded boots? A lot of people like to ask me how I would design my own personal pair of football boots if I ever got that opportunity. And as far as like my own proprietary technology, I can't say that I have an idea for something specific right now in my head. And a lot of people don't realize as well, if you were going to produce your own football boot, whether it's mine or yours, you can't necessarily go and just rip off another brand. I would feel inclined to make fun of my own product at that point. So I think for me, what I would probably want, and I haven't really thought about it this much, I would probably want something with a leather upper, because leather I feel is always going to be good. And I think it's pretty well proven at this point that small companies, which this would be if it were to ever happen, aren't necessarily the best at producing synthetics or knitted uppers, I would say. Those are kind of expensive things to develop. So a leather upper, that's always going to be good. It's always going to be soft. And honestly, just because I love power boots so much, I'm a huge fan of the old T90s. I'm a huge fan of the older Predator models as well. I'd probably want some kind of a rubberized striking element. So whatever I would potentially design in the form of a striking element, that would probably be the more unique aspect of the boot if I ever were to make one. And just to be clear, I am not currently in the process of making one. Will laceless boots ever actually be better than ones with laces? I definitely think that it's possible, but at the same time, I also think it's very unlikely. And the reason why I say that is when you're making a product, especially something like a football boot that's designed to fit a certain way, you kind of have to keep in mind that you want that product to fit as many people comfortably as possible, which means that you can never really get a perfect fit on any one foot. Definitely some people will achieve a perfect fit in very specific models, and that's why you do run into people that have kind of their all-time favorite based on how it fit them perfectly, but then the next model comes out and they change the shape ever so slightly, and it's just not the same thing. With laceless boots, that's kind of taken to the next extreme, because you might have one pair of laceless boots that fit you really well, but then when the next generation comes out and they change the shape ever so slightly, now it just doesn't match the shape of your foot. The other issue with laceless boots is you lose out on that adjustability. So if the boot isn't perfectly shaped to your foot, there's really no way for you to adjust it, which means that the lockdown is never going to be as good as something with a lacing system that gives you the ability to adjust the boot. If the boot was custom made to your feet, maybe that would change things, but at the same time, you still have to have stretch to the upper to allow your foot to get in and out of the boot, which is always going to lead to lockdown issues as well. Hey Jack in the Box, if you could remove one cleat from Adidas, Nike, Puma, and New Balance, which would it be? This is actually a tough question, and I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to answer right off the top of my head. We'll start with New Balance because that's easy. I really like the Tequila, so I would kill off the Furon. For Nike, I think I would probably get rid of the Phantom Vision. I know I've said it's my personal favorite from the Nike brand, but I'm really happy with the Venom right now. I don't want to get rid of the Tiempos, and I feel like the Mercurials need to exist always. So I'm going to kill the Vision. In the case of Adidas, easy, I think I'd get rid of the Nemesis line right now. And in the case of Puma, I like the Future more than I like the Puma 1, even though not right now. I wouldn't say that's the case, but the Future line as a whole, I think, has potentially more unique aspects to it for them to build upon. So I'd probably get rid of the ones. All right, moment of silence for the boots that were just killed off. Hey Joe, if Nike and Adidas offered you a lifetime contract, which side would you go with and why? Well, my answer to that question is pretty simple, and I'd make the same decision that pretty much all pro athletes make. I would sign with the brand that was going to pay me more money. It's the only logical thing to do. Hey Jabalani, in a match, would you rather wear top-end laceless boots of your choice or wear takedown model from the cheapest price point? This is an interesting and a fair question based on the fact that I have not been overly positive about most laceless boots, I would say, but that's not to say that there haven't been some laceless boots that I actually do like the fit and feel of. So in the case of wanting to wear a laceless boot over a takedown model, I definitely think that a low-end takedown model with a lacing system, depending on the laceless boot that you're going with, might actually fit you better and will probably have better lockdown as well. But for me, there are two laceless boots that I legitimately don't mind wearing. The first being the Nemesis 18 Plus, and keep in mind as I'm making this, I have yet to try the new Nemesis 19 Plus or the X19 Plus, so those potentially might sway my opinion a little bit. But Nemesis 18 Plus, I actually don't mind, even though it's not my favorite at all. But the Copa 19 Plus is actually a laceless boot that I really like and would, for the most part, be happy to wear. It's far from perfect, but I do think that they are legitimately very good, and I would probably pick those over any takedown model, any low-end takedown model. Hey Jeffrey, which do you think is the best leather boot on the market? I think it's very difficult to say that one leather boot in particular is the best out of all of them, because there are lots of very good options, and for the most part, while leather quality does vary from model to model and brand to brand, a broken in leather boot is going to feel good pretty much no matter what. So here's my answer, kind of split up into different categories. If you are into the best possible leather quality, made in Japan Mizuno, whether it's a Rebula, a Morelia 2, or a Morelia Neo 2, that's the best of the best when it comes to leather quality. If you're looking for a leather boot that's very modern and high-tech and very fancy, maybe something like the Copa 19 Plus, especially if you like the whole laceless thing. If you're looking for the best performing laceless boot overall, I would probably go for the Tiempo Legend 7 Elite. If you're looking for the best value for money option, Tiempo Legend 7 Pro is really good. You can often get the Puma 1 19.1 on sale for a good value for money price, as well as the Nike Premier 2, I think is really solid. And if you want something old school, the Morelia 2, very solid option, and the Copa Mundial, you can never go wrong with. Hey Johnny Orlando, do you think recyclable boots are becoming the future for football boots? If you're talking about companies marketing the fact that they're using recycled materials to produce their football boots, I think that's coming. It's kind of already happened in the form of the Nike GS series, because that's what it was all about. That's green speed, it's green. As far as recyclable boots, meaning that you buy the boots, use them for a short period of time, and then recycle them and buy a new pair, I kind of feel like Puma tried that concept with the Evo Speed SL. That was not successful at all. For those that don't know, the boots were extremely lightweight, but they also fell apart very easily, basically coming with this kind of self-destruct warning label, letting you know that these are going to last approximately 10 uses, and you should only wear them in matches, because if you practice in them, they are probably going to break, and I can confirm that they break very, very easily. People did not respond well to this concept, and while the initial idea was not to buy the boots and then recycle them once they broke, it's kind of along those lines. So I don't think it's ever going to be something where the brands are going to be able to market the fact that you can buy these boots likely for a premium price and then throw them out once they break. I don't think companies want to market the fact that their boots are inevitably going to break, even though it does seem like boots are getting less and less durable over time. Introducing the Nike Recycle Pack. Does foot size affect shot power? This is actually a really interesting question and something that I've thought about a lot. I'd love to know if somebody's done a legit study on this, some kind of university or something like that. And if that is out there on the internet and you know about it, please let me know about it down below in the comments, because I'd love to read anything that is out there as far as legit information is concerned. But I guess just coming to my own conclusions, having thought about this for a little bit, is that I don't think that there's any major connection between the size of your foot and the power of your shot. And I'm not sure what the logic would be. Is a smaller foot going to result in a more powerful shot, or is a bigger foot going to result in a more powerful shot? The only real difference that I can kind of come up with in my head is that someone with a bigger foot is going to be making more contact with the ball when striking it, which kind of only makes sense if your foot is a little bit bigger. Whether or not that's better or worse for overall shot power, very difficult to say. And obviously it's not something that any one person can test, because you can't really make your feet bigger or smaller at will. In general, I would say that striking the ball is a skill, and just like any skill, it's going to depend on you specifically, and you kind of learn that skill based on your own body. So it's kind of one of those things that, while there might be information out there, I'm not really sure. It's kind of impossible to test, but based on what I've seen and based on what I can tell, I don't think there's any major connection. Hey Juanito, do you think we will ever see a laceless Nike boot? I'd like to think that they wouldn't go there, simply based on the fact that they would really get called out for copying Adidas, because they really popularized the whole laceless thing, and I've talked about this in videos before. But at the same time, it does seem like Nike is rolling out a lot of lace-free technology in other forms of footwear outside of football boots, that it wouldn't really surprise me if somewhere down the road we got some kind of a laceless boot from Nike. I would think that if they're going to do a laceless boot, the first one we'll see will probably be some kind of limited edition release, but I definitely would not put it past them to do a laceless boot at some point in time. Although at the same time, Nike has put out information, mainly with the press release for the Phantom Vision, basically saying that the initial concept for that boot, it was meant to be laceless, but based on the feedback they got from professional players, basically all of them hated it, and they determined that boots with laces were just superior to laceless football boots. So they've kind of said that laceless boots suck themselves, but it's definitely possible that they could do it still. Hey Janet Jocelyn. What boots have the best lockdown? It is something I really look for as a goalie. So lockdown is one of those things that's going to be dependent mainly on the fit of the boot, meaning how well they actually match the shape of your foot, meaning getting the proper size as well is very, very important. And then the general structure and construction of the upper itself. So as we've talked about in this video through a couple different questions, laceless boots in general, if lockdown is something that you are prioritizing, probably not a great idea, although I have heard a lot of goalkeepers comment that laceless boots are kind of their go-to thing right now because their laces never come untied, and if you're wearing gloves, tying your laces can be a bit of a pain. You basically have to take the gloves off. Either way, if you're just looking for the best possible lockdown, here are kind of my rapid fire answers on what I think is good. From Nike, I would say anything Mercurial or even the Phantom Venom are both solid options. From Adidas, I think the X 18.1 or 19.1 would probably be your best bets. From Puma, honestly, I think you'd be pretty good with the Futures or the Puma 1s. Those are both really solid in regards to overall lockdown. And then the Mizuno Morelia Neo 2 is another option that comes to mind. Anyways, guys, that is it for another Q&A video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you have a question that you'd like to ask me for me to potentially answer in the next Q&A episode, my Instagram is SR4U_Josh. It's linked down below. You see it on screen right now. If you're not following me there already, make sure you go and do that. As always, if you have any questions regarding anything that I talked about in today's video, feel free to ask those questions down below in the comments, and I'll get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. All my social media information is linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.